Hello and welcome to this edition of FYI. I'm Elaine Chang-Baxter, the Director of Partnerships for Montgomery County Public Schools. With us in the studio today is Mr. Edward Clarke. Mr. Clarke is the Director of the Montgomery County Public School Department of School Safety and Security. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Elaine.
Can you tell us how schools prepare kids at the beginning of the year for emergencies?
Absolutely. That's a big part of what we do in terms of preparation. You know, a lot of our families and kids thinks that we just do the thing over the summer, but we actually prepare not only for academics, but for school safety moving forward. So when our principals come back to school, when they have orientation for the teachers, you know, there's a component that they talk about school safety, emergency planning, emergency preparedness. So throughout the summer, our staff in the Department of School Safety and Security are working with school administrators and school security to get ready for that next school year, to making sure each school's emergency crisis plan is updated. We're ready to go. If there's any changes, we make those changes over the summer so we're ready to receive students when they come back to school. But also principals, you know, when our students come back, there is some general orientation. So we talk about reminders for school safety and security procedures, the different drills that we would be required to practice throughout the school year, and just have those warm and welcoming school safety messages. So we just kind of start the school year off right, so we're prepared to address a multitude of emergency crises that could come up during that school year.
Sure. And I understand that there are a handful of drills that schools teach students and then the staff have to practice. Can you share the names of the drills and then what they look like?
I can give you a little description and background. The Maryland State Department of Education requires every school, public school in the state of Maryland, to have a comprehensive school safety emergency management plan. So we comply with that, but there's also 6 drills that all public schools are required to practice throughout the academic year. We have an evacuation drill, we have a reverse evacuation drill, a lockdown drill, a shelter-in-place drill, a severe weather drill, and then a drop, cover, and hold drill. So those 6 drills are practiced throughout the school year. We add some additional drills throughout our academic year, but then we also have to practice our fire evacuation drills. And then for our school bus riders, there's a requirement to practice bus evacuation drills with our great Department of Transportation here in MCPS. So a lot of different drills throughout the year, but again, we want to be prepared throughout the entire year to really respond effectively to a variety of emergencies or crises that could impact the safety and well-being of all of our students. Now, another great partner is our school resource officers in those drills at our high school level. So again, we want to meet with the local experts, both fire and EMS and law enforcement during that preparation period to make sure we've got everything in place and ready to go for the upcoming school year.
Great. What is a lockdown drill, and then what is the lockdown with options drill? That's
the lockdown drill is something that we within MCPS and all school districts throughout the state and the country have practiced for the last several years. So when there is imminent risk of life, safety, or great harm to students or staff or visitors, schools generally would go into a lockdown drill. So that would mean that they would secure the school door as best they could, keep that door locked, pull down the shades, turn off the lights. Students would be out of sort of the vision zone where if an active assailant or intruder was looking to get into that classroom, they would be outside of that zone there where the intruder could see visually there. And then to remain silent, silence all cell phones, and then wait for direction from either the building principal or local law enforcement or fire and rescue there to give direction there. We've learned in all these horrific school shooting and tragedies that we have to have options. So now Montgomery County Public Schools is practicing procedures that we refer to as lockdown with options drill. So we know the one size doesn't fit in all situations, Elaine. So again, we give a variety of options based on situational awareness where we would avoid, deny, or defend in those situations where there's a life-threatening emergency.
All right, can you explain that again, the situational awareness, and then when is it applied?
What we do, and again, we have great partnerships here within Montgomery County Public Schools with local law enforcement. This past year, we worked very hard with the Montgomery County Department of Police, particularly with Lieutenant Brian Dillman. And Lieutenant Dillman is in charge of the Montgomery County Police SWAT team. So they've been giving us technical guidance and assistance based on their research in the area of avoid, deny, defend. So when we have a situation where we might employ avoid, if we can assess the situation, so if we were to hear the sounds of chaos, confusion, or gunfire in a certain area of the school building, and we make that determination, would it be safe to evacuate from that classroom outside of the school building into a safe zone? That's what we mean by avoid.
I see.
Now, deny is very similar to a lockdown. If we cannot get out safely, then we want to certainly go into that lockdown mode where we add additional barriers. Maybe we bring a desk across the threshold of the doorway or a filing cabinet, just to give an additional barrier, because what we're doing is we are buying time until local law enforcement can get to that school, get to that classroom, and provide assistance there.
I see.
Then the defend portion is really when we get in that really, really critical moment where, say, there could be a breach inside of the classroom, or someone may come confront the individual face to face, the active assailant. Then we have to decide. Do we just sort of lay down and do nothing, or do we try to distract the active assailant by yelling, screaming, dropping a textbook, throwing something, anything that may work to cause a diversion so people or students can get away safely? And that may result in a teacher or staff, or maybe some students who feel that they are empowered enough to defend themselves. But we are in no ways teaching students at any level martial arts or anything like that. But this is a, last resort option.
And this is a real topic. I mean, having been an elementary school principal, we greatly appreciate all of the safety plans that we're trained on, because, this is a real topic.
And currently, we've already trained all of our high school teams, our students and our staff. We've trained the middle school students now. Currently, we're working at the elementary school level. As you know, being an elementary school principal, we certainly don't want to raise the level of anxiety for anyone. So again, having age-appropriate conversations and giving people options there. And it's important. And the value is we must practice all these drills, because in the moment of crises, we're going to revert back to our training. And we want to revert back to training that's been very well designed and practiced. Because if we don't, we get into a moment of chaos and confusion, and then no one's able really to effectively address the emergency or crises.
Can you give advice for students or for parents if they have a concern about safety at their school? What should a student do? What should a parent do?
Well, we've heard a lot from our national government there. If you see something, say something. We encourage the same concept, but go one more position further. See something, say something, and do something. So if a student maybe feel that they are bullied, there's a reporting mechanism, but we always say, go to that trusted adult in the building, whether it be your school principal, co-administrator, your counselor, school resource officer, or a teacher, or any adult that you have a relationship, and report your concerns there. And then allow the adults to investigate and to address those issues or concerns. So that's really, really important. The other great thing is, Governor Hogan this past year, there was a series of legislative enhancements to school safety out of the Maryland Safe to Learn Act. But one additional procedure that they developed at the state level, we have a statewide school safety tip line. So students and staff can call those numbers. There's a text component. We know our students like to be savvy with technology, and it's anonymous. The great thing about that, we've already seen here in Montgomery County Public Schools that information that's come to that tip line, we believe strongly, has allowed us to intervene with our public safety partners to save lives. And also, there's other type of threats that come in those lines. They'll be evaluated. We'll work with local law enforcement to make sure schools are safe for the morning arrival or throughout the academic day.
That's amazing. And we'll close on this one last question. What is a school resource officer, and what do they do?
School resource officers are really great partners to Montgomery County Public Schools and schools throughout the state of Maryland. They are a group of men and women who are assigned to assist our high schools. They hopefully become part of the climate and culture of that school. They're seen as a resource by their name, resource officers, so students can come to them in a moment of crises. They can have general questions about the law, traffic law, criminal law. They're just an extra set of eyes and ears that work with the building principals and the school safety staff to really be that great partner in keeping our schools safe and secure. They do not get involved in disciplinary action. That's left up to the responsibility of our school principals, but they collaborate. And they have opportunity to say, well, what's in the best interest of our students, working with those principals. So they're a great partner. They also help at extracurricular activities as well. So we're very, very fortunate to have that partnership, not only with Montgomery County Police, but we also have SROs from Rockville City, Gaithersburg City, and the Sheriff's Department participate in that program.
Right, that's wonderful.
And it's about prevention, intervention. It's really not about placing charges against students unless that is required in a very serious event that would occur during the academic day. But the focus is prevention, intervention, and more importantly, building those relationships with our young students in a positive way.
Right. I know you wanted to talk about one more topic, and I'm sure we're going to get sped up here, but can you just quick comment on social media and safety?
You know, Elaine, that's a big challenge for us here, not only in our school district, but throughout the state. And students, that's what they know. But in a lot of ways, we will see these threats that come in at all different hours of the night. Some mention the use of weapons, and it really is unnerving and unsettling to schools, administrators, and parents. So again, working with local law enforcement, when these tips come in or information comes in, what they will do, they will evaluate those tips, and if need be, they will go out in the middle of the evening or the night, 2 a.m. in the morning if needed, have a conversation with the parent and the student about the threats that were levied. Just to ensure there are no weapons. There's no weapons that could be brought into school the next day, but to have those very serious conversations. So we ask our parents or students to be very judicious when it comes to social media. If they see something, say something, but don't retweet it, repost it. Share that information so appropriate action can be taken. So we all have a responsibility in school safety and security.
So if after hours and a threat comes across someone's text messages, the parent or the student really should call the local law enforcement agency?
Yes, 911 certainly.
And not wait until the next day at school.
Some of those tips come through the tip line. They're immediately evaluated, and then we will pass that information to local law enforcement. So don't wait. When you have some concerns, immediately report to local law enforcement, or certainly use the statewide tip line, and that allows us all to be safe in our schools.
So this tip line is really important. This ability to text anonymously is going to be really important, and great changes that I didn't know of.
And the great thing is we've seen fellow students who have identified their friends in mental health crises. They've used that tip line. We've immediately partnered with local law enforcement to do a home visit or a safety and well-being check. And we have intervened to save lives. So it's a great, great resource.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And thank you for watching FYI. I'm Elaine Chang Baxter, the Director of Partnerships. Join us next time on FYI.